MBNA, Scotiabank, MBNA, Scotiabank, Simplus, MBNA, Scotiabank, RBC, CIBC, y'all just gotta step it up. Welcome to Prince of Travel, we're the leading platform empowering every global citizen to go further better, and as the leading credit card channel here in Canada, we want to give quality advice to both our viewers and to the banks that we send our viewers to. Because ideally, we'll use our influence to not only give you the tools and knowledge you need to travel the world more for less, but also to convince the banks to give you the most value. And in today's video, we're going to talk about what we like, what we don't like, and what we would do to improve the offerings at each of Canada's major banks. And we're going to start off with a dark horse as of late, which is MBNA, a subsidiary of TD Bank and one that's been making waves, or at least making waves that they'll potentially be making waves in the Canadian loyalty space. The flagship credit card by MBNA is called the MBNA Rewards World Elite MasterCard, and this card is notable for the 5 MBNA rewards points per dollar spent on groceries, restaurants, digital media memberships, and household utilities, up to a limit of $50,000 spent in each category in a calendar year. So if you spent $50,000 in each of the categories, you'd actually end up earning 250,000 MBNA rewards points, which is a pretty significant haul. Now, the reason this earning potential is exciting is because MBNA has hinted at an upcoming partnership with Alaska Airlines coming sometimes in 2024 with the potential ability to transfer MBNA rewards points at a 1-to-1 ratio to Alaska Mileage Plan. Now, Alaska Airlines is one of the world's most powerful frequent flyer programs, and with Alaska Miles, you have the ability to book some of the world's top first-class airlines like Japan Airlines, Cathay Pacific, and Starlux based out of Taipei. So, even though the MBNA Rewards World Elite MasterCard is very strong with its 5x earning rates, if this transfer possibility to Alaska Mileage Plan comes to fruition like it's been indicated in 2024, then the card will be a whole lot more powerful and a lot more interesting from a points collecting perspective. But MBNA, why stop there? Because keep in mind, the American Express Cobalt card is the market leader when it comes to 5x points on food and drinks. The MBNA World Elite already has a wider range of categories that it can earn 5 times the points. What if MBNA were to dial up the 5 times the points to 7 times, 8 times, or even 10 times the points on these earning categories? Now that would be a game changer of a move, and one that would make MBNA skyrocket to the very top of the pile among Canadian credit cards. If you're watching this, MBNA, make sure to take notes. One more unique thing that MBNA could do to make a huge difference would be to count retailers like Costco, Walmart, and other warehouse stores as grocery purchases that count towards the 5 times or elevated earning rates as part of the card. Now, MBNA's previously already run a limited time promotion that counted wholesale club purchases among the 5 times the points. If they were to make this feature permanent, it would again be a game changer among Canadian shoppers, especially as so many of us make our weekly purchases at Costco or Walmart, and right now there's no real meaningful elevated rewards at these retailers in terms of getting us closer to our travel goals. Now, with the dark horse out of the way, let's talk about the big 5 banks in Canada. What are each of their strengths and what could they do to improve? We'll start with RBC, whose Avion credit cards are generally well regarded for their strong welcome bonuses and their range of transfer possibilities, which is unique among the big 5 banks. Keep in mind, the RBC Avion Visa Infinite regularly puts on welcome bonuses of up to 55,000 Avion points, and then these points can be transferred to one of 4 airline partners: British Airways, Cathay Pacific, American Airlines, and WestJet, and there's oftentimes going to be transfer bonuses to many of these, allowing you to amplify the value of the points that you've earned. For example, a single welcome bonus of 55,000 Avion points paired with a 30% transfer bonus over to British Airways Avios is enough for already a business class flight in Qatar Airways Q Suites from Montreal to the Middle East. One card gets you a seat in the world's best business class, and that already sets RBC Avion apart, and it's head and shoulders above everybody else. But compared to the generous welcome bonus, the regular earning rates on the RBC Avion cards are pretty lackluster. On the Avion Platinum card, you just get 1 point per dollar spent on everything, and on the Avion Infinite card, you get 1.25 points on travel and 1 point on everything else. Now, we can take as a case study the recent transition of HSBC World Elite MasterCard holders over to RBC Avion Visa Infinite. Remember, HSBC shut down its Canadian operations and sold them to RBC, so when card holders were transitioned over, they did retain one of the key perks of the card, which is no foreign exchange fees, but they were pretty dismayed at the fact that the strong earning rates we used to have on the HSBC World Elite MasterCard are now replaced by a weaker points earning ability on the RBC Avion. So if RBC wants to keep their cards competitive and keep cardholders who are attracted by the welcome bonus to continue spending on their cards, they should consider implementing an earning structure more similar to the legacy HSBC World Elite MasterCard that it had absorbed. For example, something like 3 times the points on travel, 2 times the points on gas, groceries, and drugstores, and 1 times the points on everything else. Certainly, a lot of other Canadian issuers have moved in the direction of these elevated earning rates in the past few years as well, and RBC's got to keep up. Now, one other tip that we'd have for RBC is to continue leaning into its strengths of its wide range of airline transfer partners. It's already got 3 major airlines from the One World Alliance, but Canadians would certainly benefit from more airlines that they can transfer points to that have a major presence in Canada. Programs like Air France, KLM, Flying Blue, or United Mileage Plus, or even a hotel transfer partner like Marriott, Bonvoy, Hilton Honors, or World of Hyatts. So that's RBC done. Now let's talk about CIBC. They've recently made an interesting move. CIBC's Aventura points previously could only be redeemed against travel redemptions at a very low rate of 0.625 cents per point, but in recent years they've doubled this rate to a promotional 1.25 cents per point, which is pretty strong, and as of April 2024, they've extended this indefinitely. So for now, any Aventura point you earn, you can actually redeem it at 1.25 cents per point towards a pending travel purchase on your Aventura credit card, which is a very strong redemption ratio that outcompetes a lot of the other big 5 banks. Now keep in mind, I had said pending travel purchase. This is the key here. You have to make your travel purchase, and then while it's still pending on your credit card statement, apply your points to redeem at this elevated rate of 1.25 cents per point. If you wait for it to post to your statement, then it's already too late. You have to do it while the purchase is pending. I don't know why they did that. That's just the way it works. You also have the ability, of course, to redeem Aventura points through the Aventura Flight Reward Chart, which is a chart based on different geographic zones and the maximum fare that your points can cover, and this can help you unlock even more value from your Aventura points, up to about 2.3 cents per point, depending on the right fare to the right zone. So on the redemption side, CIBC's got some good momentum going, but where I'd say they need to focus on improving their offering is more on the earning side. We've seen a lot of Canadian banks recently take their in-house rewards programs and spin them off as separate loyalty programs under distinct branding. For example, Scotiabank's got Scene+, RBC's got Avion Rewards, BMO's gotten involved in Air Miles. Oftentimes these different branded loyalty programs also have different ownership structures involved, and CIBC's got an opportunity to do the same, which has been rather stale and lacking in innovation for the past 10 years or so. If they were to open up the Aventura loyalty program to have more retail everyday partners in different industries like grocery, gas, drugstores, travel, and whatnot, maybe add an online shopping portal the way RBC's Avion Rewards has these days, it would be a good way to get more people involved in the program rather than just CIBC clients and customers. The other big 5 banks are leveraging the power and brand recognition of these everyday partners to attract more people to their programs, so CIBC, why not get in on the action as well? And that brings us to Scotiabank, which has one very distinct advantage in one particular area now that the HSBC World Elite MasterCard has exited stage left. And that's of course the fact that the Scotiabank Passport Visa Infinite and the Scotiabank Gold American Express have no foreign transaction fees, and they're unique among the big 5 banks for offering that perk. Now, no foreign transaction fees has a bit of an outsized impact on people's decisions to choose a credit card. A lot of people just hate the idea of having to pay an extra foreign transaction fee when they're traveling the world, especially if the card is marketed as a travel card. And so a lot of would-be travelers end up choosing the Scotiabank cards just for their no foreign exchange fee perk. And of course, the Scotiabank Passport Visa Infinite also gives you a few other compelling travel benefits, like 6 visits to an airport lounge and the Dragon Pass network over the course of a year. So in terms of how we'd improve the offering, well, right now a prospective Scotiabank cardholder kind of faces the choice between the Scotia Passport and the Scotia Gold American Express. On one hand, with the Scotia Passport, you get the lounge access. On the other hand, with the Scotiabank Gold American Express, you get 5 times the points on food and drinks, which is very compelling and on par with the Cobalt card like we mentioned before, but no lounge access. So why not combine these two or mix and match the features a little bit to make one very compelling travel credit card that can really stand out in the marketplace rather than diluting the benefits across these two products. That's our main piece of input for Scotiabank. There's room to consolidate their offerings and create one killer travel credit card that ticks all the boxes: no foreign transaction fees, lounge access, elevated earning rates, and so on. One secondary piece of advice: the Scene+ loyalty program is probably the next best positioned loyalty program in all of Canada to start adding airline transfer partners to its roster. Especially right now, there's just American Express and RBC Avion. HSBC Rewards has vacated the market. There's room for some more interesting stuff on the airline transfer side, which we in the community would certainly be very excited about and would flock to the Scotiabank credit cards in droves. So that's 3 of the big 5 banks down, 2 to go. Let's talk about TD, whose loyalty ecosystem is spread across their in-house TD Rewards program and the very close partnership between TD, Air Canada, and Aeroplan. On the note of TD Rewards, a lot of the feedback that we'd have is quite similar to what we said about CIBC Rewards and CIBC Aventura. It's kind of an in-house rewards program that doesn't have a lot of hype or buzz around it. It just exists to serve the existing TD customers who choose that simple option of going with TD Rewards. And to some extent, that makes a lot of sense because a lot of TD customers are instead shepherded towards the TD Aeroplan ecosystem and engaging with the Aeroplan loyalty program instead. TD is the most prominent out of Aeroplan's 3 financial partners in Canada: TD, CIBC, and American Express, and so it makes sense that the bank concentrates most of its loyalty activity in the Aeroplan ecosystem. That's obviously one of its greatest strengths. The TD Aeroplan Visa Infinite card is one of the best Aeroplan starter cards in Canada, and that's also where we'll feature most of our areas of improvement. In terms of how TD could lean further into its strengths in terms of the overall ecosystem with Aeroplan, like we've already seen with TD Aeroplan and Starbucks. We've already seen these 3 companies rolling out features where if you link any 2 accounts, you get more rewards when you engage with each of them on a deeper level, and if you link all 3 of the accounts, you get even better rewards when you engage with all 3 of them. And so my thought is, why stop there, because Aeroplan's also built partnerships with Uber and Journey Rewards and LCBO, and potentially a whole range of other programs and other verticals in the coming years. I'd love to see TD and Aeroplan go even deeper with these partners, where if you engage with them as a TD cardholder, you get an amplified impact compared to if you're a cardholder of any other bank. Certainly, a lot of us here at Prince of Travel, including myself, use Aeroplan as our primary rewards program for redeeming points to fly all over the world, often in first class or business class, and so a lot of this advice, I must admit, is selfishly motivated to give us even more options to earn Aeroplan points in order to fund those first class travels. And last but not least, I think, is BMO Bank of Montreal, and we have them last in this video here because historically, BMO's been relatively the weakest among the big five banks as it relates to their loyalty offering. But what that also means, of course, is that they've got the most room for improvement. Now, right now, BMO has the following lineup of personal credit cards: the BMO Eclipse Visa Infinite card, the BMO Eclipse Visa Infinite Privilege card, which is a premium card that commands a higher annual fee, the BMO Ascend World Elite MasterCard, and the BMO Eclipse Rise Visa Infinite card, which is a new no-fee version of the Eclipse card. Now, the first thing I'd say here is this credit card lineup needs a bit of cleaning up to give it more clarity in the marketplace. Why is there both a Visa and a MasterCard option? What's the role of the Ascend World Elite compared to the other Eclipse Visa Infinite cards? It's just not very clear to the consumer which card they should go with, and in my view, the Ascend World Elite MasterCard could probably be rolled into the Eclipse Visa Infinite and some of its perks consolidated to make a very clear lineup, a no-fee, mid-tier, and premium card, all with the Eclipse branding. Now, to be clear, BMO's tried to do a few things right and tried to be competitive because it's added 5 times the points as a feature to the Eclipse cards when they launched a few years ago. But the problem here is that 5 times the BMO rewards points isn't the same as 5 times the American Express membership rewards points on the Cobalt card, or even 5 times the points on MBNA or Scotiabank's cards. BMO rewards points need some open heart surgery, and it needs it fast. When it comes to the redemption side, you can only redeem 1 BMO rewards point for 0.67 cents per point, compared to the 1 cent per point that Scene Plus offers, or the 1.25 cents per point that Aventura offers by CIBC, and you can see how that's just not very competitive. In fact, if you were to sign up for the BMO Eclipse Visa Infinite thinking you would get 5 times the points and that's comparable to the American Express Cobalt card or the Scotiabank Gold American Express, then you'd be fooled because you'd only get a 3.33% return compared to a 5% return with Scene Plus or a 10% plus return with American Express through their transfer partners. So that's what BMO Rewards has to do just to get to a baseline to be competitive with the other big 5 banks. But I think an interesting opportunity here actually lies with BMO's recent acquisition of the Air Miles program, which has been beleaguered for many years, and it was on the brink of bankruptcy before BMO rescued it. Air Miles has already shown a few signs of upturn from its nadir near the time of bankruptcy, things like improved shop the block offers or being able to scan a receipt and earn rewards that way, which is pretty innovative among the Canadian loyalty space, and BMO can really accelerate that progress if it's to take its rewards more seriously. In fact, if I were BMO, I'd strongly consider consolidating the BMO Rewards loyalty program with Air Miles, which, despite its recent struggles, still has very strong brand recognition in Canada, and creating one powerful loyalty program that can stand on its own and compete with Scotiabank Scene Plus, RBC's Avia Rewards on a more even footing. And after making this move, BMO and Air Miles will be well positioned to juice up the redemption possibilities on the Air Miles side, maybe add some transfer partners, maybe improve the travel agency offering, which right now is a little bit limited. But certainly the first step, just like we mentioned on the BMO credit card side, would be to achieve more clarity in the marketplace so that consumers aren't confused. Are they going for BMO Rewards? Are they going for Air Miles? Right now, neither is particularly strong. If they were to merge, it could be a very powerful foundation for something stronger. So that's our view of what the major credit card issuers in Canada all do best and what are their major areas of improvement. If you're somebody who's been following along and you're excited to go deeper on all the best ways to maximize each of these programs and how to get started, make sure to check out this video next. I'll see you over in that video and in future videos as well.